Hello and welcome back to Phil's Drone Zone, and welcome to part 10 of Learning Piece by Piece, the complete beginner's guide to working in Motion 5. If you're just joining us, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click that bell so you'll be updated when future videos are uploaded. Today we're going to be just looking at replicators in a very basic way, and some of the things that you can do with replicators, which just simply take an object and duplicate it many times, and then you can add a simple pattern to it using various different tools to animate that basic pattern. So let's just jump straight in and have a look at what we've got. Okay, so I've created this little color solid background and just changed the color and made it into this kind of red type color. Now let's just draw out a simple square. Hold down shift and we'll make it into a perfect square. Okay, so we'll go to our properties and we will resize it to 130. Now you'll see this is a mistake. And as we go through, you'll see it doesn't really matter because I'll put it right later on. But now I'm going to replicate it. Now you can stretch it out using the handles in the corner, or you can be a little bit more precise, and that's what I'll do here. So I'll go to size and set the width to 1820, and then I'll set the height to 925. And so now I can see I have made an error because it's off center, and I should have centered it up when right at the beginning, because the whole thing's now slightly out. So to change that, I'm just going to adjust the scale. So I'm going to find my scale and I'm just going to reduce the scale a little bit. Go to properties and then reduce the overall scale to make it fit my canvas really nicely. Okay, so we do make mistakes and it's easy to put these right later on. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is increase the number of columns that I have. Yeah, about 7. It's not an exact replica of what you saw in the opening, but it's just gives you some kind of idea. And I'm going to make it 3D and face the camera. Then I'm going to go to change the colors, select color mode and over pattern. And I'll just choose one of the presets, Bilbao. And now I will go in and change my colors to the colors that I want. And you just play around with your colors. The colors are for you to decide, not for me. And I'm just going to play with these different tabs down here, changing the colors until I've got something that kind of like fits the background that I've created. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time over this as it's a tutorial, and that will do for now. Okay, so having done that, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play with one or two of the settings, and I'm going to find this color repetitions, and I'm just going to type in a value of 1.5. That just changes the amount that colors are repeated, and it will change the pattern of the colors for you. Then go to behaviors and add a sequence replicator. Add a parameter opacity and reduce that to 0. Now when I play it, what I've got is it's animated, but it's just reducing the opacity of the squares pretty much one at a time, as it says 2 in the sequencing. If I now make it through, then the pattern is slightly different. Through inverted, that's not what I'm looking for, so I'll go back to through. Just play with these things. And I'm just going to increase the spread, which is the number of objects that are animated at once. And also I can change the speed, I can change the loops. So let's change the loops, the amount of times that the animation will play through. And now I'm starting to get something along the lines of what I'm looking for. So yep, kind of like getting there. I won't do anything with the speed. But the end condition, I'm going to set to wrap. So now I've really created, pretty much using one parameter of opacity, what I was actually looking for. I'll go to properties of the replicator and change the blend mode to overlay. And now I'm starting to really get everything to blend together in the background is coming along quite nicely, but the squares are still too intense. So we'll go to the opacity of the sequencer and we'll reduce the opacity until I've got somewhere around there, I think, until I've got finally the effect that I was looking for. And there you go, just with a simple replicator and adding the sequence replicator and using opacity, I've created a little background in next to no time. Okay, so what else can we do? So let's go to project, add a new group, and this time let's go and grab a circle. So we're going to just drag in a circle, hold down Shift to make a perfect circle, go to Properties and reset the parameter. We'll do it properly this time. Okay, we will now replicate the circle, and you can see it's given me this default rectangle with tile fill. Now there's a ton of things in here you need to play with and find what they do. I'm going to use circle with an outline. I'm now going to increase the radius of my circle 405. And I'm going to increase the points, number of points, to 14. Okay, I'm going to click 3D and face camera. So no matter where those circles are, they're always going to be facing you directly. So now I'm going to go to an alter the color. We'll go to over pattern again, and we'll add Bilbao. We're going to change once again the colors. I want these now to fit the background colors. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time over this because it's a tutorial, but you can play around to your heart's content until you've got your colors absolutely spot on. And just the final tab here, we'll just click on it and change the color. We'll make this slightly pinker. And now we've got a circle of circles, but nothing happens. So to animate this one, what we're going to use is this offset. And by dragging on the offset, what you can see is it moves around. So I'm going to set the first keyframe at the beginning to 0, and then we'll rotate it to 90. And now we've got it over the entire clip. We've got it rotating in a circle clockwise. Okay, so let's go to properties. I also want to rotate this on the X parameter. So when you see when I drag this, it's rotating on the X. So let's reset that to 0, and we will keyframe that at the first frame. And then we'll move up to around 210 because I want the X to finish before the whole thing. So we'll move up to about 7 seconds, 210 frames, and I will keyframe that at a value of minus 360 degrees, which will take it back to where it is. And so now what we've got is this lovely little 3D type effect just by using 2 simple keyframes. Now that we've got that set up, which isn't perfect yet, but now I'm going to close this group up, go to project, and I'm going to add a new group. Into that group, I'm going to import the Apple logo. Whatever you're using, that's up to you, but I'm just using the Apple logo. So I'll now center that up, and what I will do is decrease the scale a little bit. So now let's have a look at what we've got. We've got it, the circle of circles rotating on the X around the Apple logo. It's been quite a nice effect, just very, very simple to do. Okay, so once I've done that, now I can go back to my replicator, and we can have, this is where the real fun begins now, and we'll change some of the other parameters. So we could change the colors if we wanted to. I'm going to increase the color repetitions so that it kind of like is a bit more colorful, and then I'm going to play with the scale a little bit. So we'll scale it down a bit, and we'll randomize the scale of the object so that they're now not all the same size. So now it's starting to look a lot better. You just keep playing with those things until you've got it as you want. You may want to increase the number of points, but I want it to be a little bit bigger, so let's go back to the scale. And we'll just increase the scale a little bit until you've got it right. What fits for you is what fits for you. I'm just showing you stuff, how to play with stuff at this moment. Create stuff that's important for you. Okay, having done that, then that's pretty much all that we needed to do. So now I'm going to add a new group. I'm going to add a line. We'll just see what else we can do with the replicator. So having added the line, I'm going to decrease the width somewhere around 8. And we'll make that a nice bright green color. Now we're going to animate this according to the same way as we animated, if you remember from animating lines, the same way as we animated the rebound, using the first point and last point offsets. So at the first frame, we will keyframe first and last at 0. Move forward about 15 frames, it's really up to you. And then I will keyframe the last point offset at about 85. And the first point offset at 0 still. Okay, so move forward, I don't know, 7 or 8 frames. And then keyframe that position both at 100. And now what I've created is that rebound line we created a while back. So what I'm going to do now is replicate the line. And as you can see, it's given me the rectangle tile fill default again. But I want it to be in a circle. And I want to set it to outline. And now you can see they're all organized around the outline of the circle. If I now click Align Angle, then they have aligned themselves. And I'll increase the number of points, it's entirely up to you how many you have. And we're going to play around with the scale and the scale randomness. So we don't want them all to be exactly the same size. So I'm just going to increase the radius a little bit. Oh, I made an error here, so I need to adjust where the start of the replicator is, so I'll just press I on the keyboard to bring it back to the beginning, set its in point. Now we've created that little color burst, and now all I need to do is duplicate that entire group. Go to the line and change the color now to yellow. So what I've got is an exact yellow copy, which is exactly the same as the green, and it's sitting over the top, so you can no longer see the green. Let's go to its replicator, play with the radius a little bit, reduce the radius, play with it, increase it, decrease the number of points perhaps, and then we will play with the scale randomness of this one. And there's a little random seed button you can click here, which will change the pattern slightly. And we've got now, this is really quite interesting. What we've got is 2 on top of the other. And you've created that little color burst, which is quite effective and can be used in a number of different ways. And that's it, a little introduction to replicators, and you just go away now and play with replicators. Don't forget to click that subscribe button and hit the bell so you'll be updated when future videos are uploaded. In the next video, we'll be looking at particle emitters and what the difference is in those. So all that remains to be said now is see you in the next video.